Week in review. Here are this week's major stories. A series of successful operations
drive charging.
Against the League of Reparation has led to much of the terrorism.
You are clear of station restrictions. Have a safe journey.
Group being dismantled. But while the group has been dealt as
4, 3, 2, 1.
via blow, agents have yet to identify the organization's coordinator, Nexus. Meanwhile, an independent report suggests that a French Thargoid worshipping cult may in fact be harboring undercover Thargoid agents. A leading exotheologian responded by saying that he did not believe the group to be a threat, despite its unsettling beliefs. Political journalist Cassia Carvalho has compiled a profile on Jordan Rochester, fiancé Princess Aisling Duval, for the Imperial Herald. The article documents
complete.
Rochester's family history and raises the question of how he will balance being both a federal
drive charging
statesman and an imperial consort. In other news, celebrated author Rolav Redcourt has begun a promotional tour that will take him to over 50 destinations throughout the core systems. The tour will support
3, 2,
1. Redcourt's new novel, Corsair King and the Storm of Desire, the 14th in a series of swashbuckling historical romances set in the 27th century. Didier Mancher Emperor's Grace has completed work on Antiquarian Academy, a flight school for Imperial Naval Cadets, and is hosting an inaugural banquet to mark the event. The organization has placed an open order for exotic food and drinks to be served at the celebratory banquet, and issued an appeal for mined resources, which will be used to construct a statue of
frameshift drive charging.
Admiral Myra Tiverion. Finally, the campaign to supply a scientific project in Colonia has now concluded, and construction of a resource management center has begun. Hundreds of independent pilots
4, 3, 2, 1.
in the journey to deliver commodities to tier technology services in the tier system. And those are the main stories this week. A profile of Jordan Rochester. Responding to public interest in Princess Aisling Duval's fiancé, Federal Ambassador Jordan Rochester, political journalist Cassia Carvalho has compiled a profile for the Imperial Herald. Jordan Rochester
Frameshift drive charging.
is now a household name throughout the Empire, though few were aware of him prior to his engagement to Princess Duval. But in the Federation, the Rochesters have been associated with success for over 200 years.
4, 3, 2, 1.
The Rochester name can be traced back to self-made tycoon Apollo Rochester, who was the biggest landowner on Biggs Colony in the Altair system. Each generation since has strived for fame and wealth, and the expression "as rich as a Rochester" has become common parlance. The family matriarch is Isolde Rochester. She is a
Fuel scooping.
member of Congress, an influential figure in the Liberal Party and a staunch supporter of Shadow President Felicia Winters. Isolde raised 5 children, including Jordan, and it was her accomplishments that inspired her son to enter politics. Jordan's siblings chose different paths. The
Fuel scooping complete.
eldest, Jupiter Rochester, is an executive with Core Dynamics, with a personal fortune in
Frameshift drive charging.
billions. 15 years ago he had his own celebrity marriage, to actor Thomas Turai. They now have 2 teenage children, daughter Carly, and son Kalen. Jordan's sisters, Juno and John
Ready to engage.
Foster,
3, 2, 1.
holding the ranks of Vice Admiral and Post Captain respectively. Only Jordan's younger brother, Jonah, has no title. He is believed to be the black sheep of the family. Despite being just 34, Jordan has already made his mark. He has overseen several high-level negotiations on behalf of the Federal Diplomatic Corps
Fuel scooping.
and is now a trusted envoy, noted for his charm
Fuel scooping complete.
and tact. His future will be interesting, to say the least. How will he balance being both a federal
Frameshift drive charging.
statesman and an imperial consort? And what are the wider ramifications of the Rochester dynasty aligning with the House of Duval? Even more so than his predecessors, Jordan Rochester has already ensured that
4, 3, 2,
history will remember his family's name. The Didiomantia Emperor's Grace Academy inauguration. The Didiomantia Emperor's Grace has completed work on the Tiverion Academy, a flight school for Imperial Naval Cadets. The organization is hosting an inaugural banquet to mark the event, and to honor the
fuel
late
scooping.
Admiral Myra Tiverion, the organization's founding member, who will have
Fuel scoop disengaged.
a monument erected at the site. A spokesperson for the Didiomantia
Frameshift drive charging.
Emperor's Grace released the following statement. The Tiverion Academy will provide new recruits with cutting-edge training facilities. To host a fitting banquet for its inauguration. We require help in sourcing a range
4, 3, 2,
of exotic food and drink. We also require a quantity of gold to make the monument raised in the Admiral's memory a truly spectacular tribute. The campaign begins on the 5th of July 3304 and will run for 1 week. If the final target is met earlier than planned, the campaign will end immediately.
Fuel scooping. Fuel scoop
Colonia
disengaged.
campaign concludes. The campaign to supply a scientific project in Colonia has now concluded, and construction of a resource management center has begun. Hundreds of independent
Frameshift drive charging.
pilots made the journey to deliver commodities to TIER Technology Services in the TIER system. Professor Alexei de la Vega, in charge of the research project, made this statement. With the
4, 3, 2, 1.
construction of a research center, we will be able to monitor population spikes and manage resource allocation throughout the region. Pilots who contributed to the project can now collect their rewards from Bolden's Enterprise in the TIER system. Starport status update. This report presents the latest data on starports experiencing technical issues as a result of Thargoid sensor-related interference. The following starports are currently closed. Aran Dock, Hip 1
Frameshift drive charging.
838. Gary Gateway, to Sheka. Gentle Survey, Jolagro. Gordon City, Angagori. Meanwhile, the following starports are on the
4, 3, 2,
brink of closure. Hurston Platform, Yamaha. Malfast Terminal, Pleiades Sector, HR, W, D1, 41. Newman Camp, Shinrata Desra. Ridgeshell Ring, Carnaweg. Delay Survey.
Holland City compromised.
Cubodal Enterprise, Kakas. Norgay Hub, Obambori. A Thargoid fifth column, amid growing public mistrust of a fringe sect that worships the Thargoids. A report suggests that the group's members may be undercover Thargoid agents. Independent journalist Flint Firemaker Lafos shared his theories via the Rewired news feed. I'm sure you're all just as creeped out as I am by those hooded monks and their stinking hive chapels. Granted, being creepy isn't a crime, and I'm as live and let live as the next man. But isn't it strange that this cult is rising just as the Thargoids return in force? The idea of humans working on behalf of aliens might sound crazy, but think about it. All those escape pods captured by Thargoids.
Frameshift drive charging.
Ships, what did they want them for? After a bit of brainwashing, they'd make perfect spies, sent back to infiltrate humanity using this religion as a cover. What scares me is that these freaks don't communicate.
4, 3, 2, 1.
They just lurk in the dark, waiting. Why are they so mysterious? What's going on in those chapels? For all we know, they're seeding our planets with barnard wolves and eggs, right under our noses.
Warning. Temperature critical.
Leading exotheologian Dr. Alfred Alyanov responded with this.
Hull integrity compromised. Warning. Temperature critical.
We can categorically answer one point. The reason the Far God worshippers are not interested in communicating is that, from their point of view, we will all be dead soon. As for the rest of this speculation, nothing in my studies has caused me to suspect this group to be a threat, despite its unsettling beliefs. Major victories against the League of Reparation. A series of successful operations against the League of Reparation has led to much of the terrorist group being dismantled. Captain Liam Sutonia, a member of the Tri-Superpower Task Force investigating the League, released this statement. Over the last few days, Senior Agent Ramirez and I have led multiple raids against the League
Frameshift drive charging.
of Reparation. We interdicted several of their ships and located many outposts concealed within Imperial and Federal systems. The key to these victories was the decryption of their communications network. Despite
4, 3, 2, 1.
meeting fierce resistance, our security forces arrested or eliminated dozens of League members. In some cases, we acted just in time to prevent further murderous acts against those descended from members of the League.
Warning. Temperature critical.
We believe the League has been dealt a fatal blow, but we are still investigating how they gained access to top-level comms encryption and other restricted equipment, which suggests support from influential individuals. Furthermore, we have yet to identify Nexus, the organization's coordinator. We have many fresh leads, however, and expect further results soon. Milo Vespa, an editor for
Frameshift drive charging.
the Alliance Tribune, published this opinion piece. This may be great news for some, but what about our citizens? The task force should be hunting down these animals in the Alliance. We know they're here.
4, 3, 2, 1.
What with Admiral Buchanan at Lathan, the trap they set for Chief Inspector Kilbride, whose bravery we will never forget. Why isn't a replacement out there on raids too? Deputy Inspector Klatt was unavailable for comment. Author begins interstellar book tour. Celebrated author, Olaf Redcourt, has begun a promotional tour, visiting over 50 destinations throughout the core systems. His new novel, Corsair King and the Storm of Desire, is the 14th in
Frameshift drive charging.
a series of swashbuckling historical romances set in the 27th century. A press release from Bone Spire Publishing stated, after many months of waiting, the next book in Olaf Redcourt's pulse-pounding
4, 3, 2, 1.
series is at last on sale. To mark the occasion, we have organized an epic tour so that loyal readers can meet the creator of the Corsair King, Lady Lastday, Roughkiss, and all their other favorite characters. The tour will begin in the Bloodroom system and conclude 2 months later in Procyon. As with all releases from Bone Spire Publishing, readers will be able to customize the holo novel to enhance their reading pleasure. Our easy-to-use controls allow the
Frameshift drive charging.
reader to revise narrative structure, vocabulary and characterization, and the plotline will have multiple option points, enabling you to determine an ending that meets your tastes. An independent reporter approached Mr. Red
4, 3,
he was boarding a passenger liner, but was only able to record a few short statements. These included, bounds to cross space like a damn human pinball, and nothing but meat for the sausage factory. The author's agent, Margot Hist, told the media. I wouldn't pay much attention to that. Olaf was probably just thinking aloud while developing a new character. Week in review. Here are this week's major stories.
Frameshift drive charging.
Chief Inspector Kay Kilbride has been murdered by terrorist organization the League of Reparation. The incident took place in the city of New Rossif on Turnus World. In the wake of Inspector Kilbride's death,
4, 3, 2, 1.
Alliance Interpol has assigned Deputy Inspector Mara Klatt to assume the role of Task Force Liaison. There has been a range of reactions to news that Princess Aisling Duval and Federal Ambassador Jordan Rochester are together. A congratulatory message was sent from the Imperial Palace, but there was no comment from Emperor Arissa Lavigny Duval. Senator Zemina Torval was frank in her disapproval, while Senator Caspian Leopold, who was rumored to be courting Aisling Duval, was more supportive. Aegis has announced that it will allow technology brokers to reduce
Frameshift drive charging.
the requirements for items, in order to increase overall combat effectiveness against the Thargoids. A spokesperson for Aegis said the galactic community had worked hard to oppose the Thargoids, and that Aegis would therefore
4, 3, 2, 1.
make it easier for independent pilots to obtain advanced weaponry and hardware. Meanwhile, an emergency report from Aegis has confirmed that the Thargoids have launched a large-scale assault on the Degian system. The organization has called on all members of the galactic community for assistance in defending the system, which is home to the Gary Terminal starport. A fringe religion that worships the Thargoids has become the target of hostility, with large numbers of civilian protesters reacting angrily to the sect's openly pro-Thargoid stance. Authorities have responded with assurances that the sect's members are harmless, and that
Frameshift drive charging.
criminal acts against them may result in prosecution. In other news, scientists in Colonia have announced plans to build an outpost to monitor the region's population and resources. Professor Alexei Delavic,
4, 3, 2, 1.
who is heading the project, said the proposed outpost would focus on ensuring that the ever-expanding region would have sufficient resources in the long term. Finally, an operation to support construction of an Aegis military facility in the Pleiades Nebula has reached a successful conclusion. Hundreds of pilots supported the initiative by delivering mined resources to the Oracle, and by protecting traders in the system. And those are the main stories this week. Thargoid worshipping cult garners hostility. Public reaction to a fringe religion that worships the Thargoids is one of mistrust and hostility, according to security reports. The nameless cult believes in the coming of the so-called Far God, and the subsequent extinction of all humanity bar themselves. Their hive chapels, inspired by Thargoid design, have sprung up on several independent worlds and in a few Federation and Alliance systems. Security forces in these locations have made numerous arrests for misdemeanors directed at the sect. These include graffiti, property damage, verbal abuse and physical assault. There are no recorded cases of worshippers retaliating, defending themselves or seeking assistance. Juanita Bishop, who runs a vocal citizen protection campaign, claims she is warning the public about a genuine danger. If these Thargoid lovers don't want to be human anymore, they shouldn't be allowed to live among other humans. Our governments should pack these foul-smelling freaks into ships and send them off to join the aliens they love so much. And if they don't, it's up to us to stop them. Do you really want these degenerates to creep into your home at night and do obscene alien things to your family? Many authorities have responded along the same lines as Councillor Quinn D'Amigo of the Aran-Barahan system. I would like to assure citizens that the Far God worshippers, while strange, are essentially harmless. Furthermore, criminal acts against them, including incitement to violence, may result in prosecution. The right to freedom of religion is protected by law in all systems where the sect has a presence. Starport Status Update. This report presents the latest data on starports experiencing technical issues as a result of Thargoid sensor-related interference. To Charlouis Enterprise, TN. Goof Doc, Azrael. Hansen Platform, Djimavi. Canon Vision, NLTT 14879. Cube Mugdal Enterprise, Kakas. Reni Hub, Euroa. Singer Orbital, Matsia. Stabe Now Survey, Cerno. Thomas Claim, Talon. Vauculus Vision, Veroclist. Walker Port, HIP 14886. The following starports continue to experience technical issues. Sturkau Port, SPOCS 253. The following starports are on the brink of closure. Arend Dock, HIP 17838. Gary Gateway, Tasheka. Gentle Survey, Jolagro. Gordon City, Anyaburi. Morgan Port, Kuanyin. Morton's Paradise, Desi. Colonia Scientific Installation Project. Scientists in Colonia have announced plans to build a scientific outpost in the system to monitor the region's population and resources. Professor Alexei de la Vega, who is heading the project, published this statement. Our recent study into the region's population increase has revealed alarming statistics. If Colonia's population continues to increase at the current rate, it could lead to a serious depletion of resources at some point in the future. Monitoring infrastructure. Logistics and other issues will require the construction of a dedicated center for resource management.
Delacey, Sierra Golf Tango. This port is under federal control. Submit to randomized security scans on approach. Access
This will
granted.
allow us to study the aggregated data and formulate a structured solution to avoid potential problems. The campaign is being run by Tier Technology Services, one of Colonia's partner organizations, which has asked pilots to deliver commodities to Bolton's enterprise in the Tier system. The campaign begins on the 28th of June 3304 and will run for 1 week. If the final target is met earlier than planned, the campaign will end
Landing gear deployed.
immediately. Aegis installation operation complete. The operation to support construction of an Aegis military facility in the Pleiades sector, IRW, D155 has reached a successful conclusion. Hundreds of pilots supported the initiative by delivering
Docking confirmed. Securing ship. Welcome to the station, Commander.
resources to the Oracle and
Hull repaired.
traders in the system. An Aegis spokesperson made the following statement. Every pilot who contributed to this operation should feel a great deal of pride in what they've achieved. The construction of this military installation will allow us to more effectively resist external aggression. Pilots who contributed to the initiative can now collect their rewards from the Oracle in the Pleiades sector, IRW, D155. Restoring order in Fusang. Security forces in the Fusang system are reporting that criminal organizations in the area are executing more frequent and audacious raids on civilian traffic. Wing Commander Horatio Montana Fusang Security had this to say: "Our resources are stretched with the Thargoid threat, and a certain criminal element has taken advantage, increasing their presence in the system and attacking trade convoys. While our forces are continuing to maintain order, the need to defend the system from external threats has had an impact on our overall effectiveness. With the help of Blue Creative Company, we hope to curb this sudden increase in crime and continue to concentrate."